No, my friend, battery swaps in NIO are still not a good idea or a good combination. I've made a whole video about it, and I've upset a number of the NIO faithful, and they've come at me with brand new citations that are so amazing. If only they were rooted in fact. I tried playing this. It does not play well. The text is very, very small, but we will get to that. Number one, by the way, I'm Brian. Welcome to my Tesla weekend. I should welcome new YouTube channel members, Brett and Andrew. I think Andrew's returning. That's cool. Thank you so much. Your decision to support the channel is how I can go to cool places, do cool things, and spend as much time as I do developing the analysis that I do. So swapping. This is according to the co-founder of NIO, the 9 benefits of a battery swap. Swapping is as quick as refueling, taking only 3 minutes for each swap. What is this, an auction? You keep going lower? What? Come on. 3 minutes. It's not 3 minutes. And if anyone's in line in front of you, it's longer. 4 to 6 minutes. 4 minutes is what they're targeting. 5 to 6 is what they're actually doing. Eliminates range anxiety, making travel to any destination convenient. Any? No, sir. You have to build the stations. You have to build infinite stations. In China, they have deployed many, many stations. This is very helpful, but the world is very large. And the difference between a charging station and a swapping station is charging stations increasingly are brand agnostic. Swapping stations, not so much. I know that there is a coalition that's trying to get behind this so that we can use the same protocols and all that. It's going to take forever. It's going to be a problem. And then what? You're beholden to NIO for their network? Is that really what you want to do? No need to exit the vehicle. Fully automated process, more comfortable than charging. So no need to exit the vehicle. That means those 6 minutes cannot be spent going to the bathroom. So if you need to do anything on your break, on your stop, stretch your legs, go to the bathroom, grab a snack, add that time on. You can't multitask it like you can at a charger. So that's not the benefit you think it is. And fully automated process, that's the goal. I understand that's the goal. But if you look at photos and videos of NIO stations, especially in China, but around the world, you will see that almost all of them have one or more technicians on hand almost all the time. The objective is to fully automate. They're not there. It's very expensive in the short term, and in the longer term, to be determined. Flexible upgrades, allowing small batteries for city driving and larger batteries for long distance journeys. I haven't seen anything in the pricing that delineates between the cost of a small battery and a big battery in terms of the swap. It just says $14.55. Why would I want, who's going to pick a smaller battery unless it's somehow significantly cheaper? And how would it be? Why would it be? That doesn't make any sense. And now your station's going to have what? 2, 3, 4 different kinds of batteries sitting around? Jordan Giesecke did a wonderful piece on the limiting factor, talking about how it doesn't make sense to have different batteries at one location because you're going to run out of one or the other. Now, if I get a too large of battery, you can artificially cork it. You can software lock it so I don't get the full range. Kind of a jerk thing to do, but okay. But if I paid for the big battery and you give me a small battery, I'm going to be a very unhappy customer. So what are you going to do? Have 10 of each size just laying around in the back, ready to go? That's getting complicated. These stations are expensive. They have to have all the charging infrastructure you would have for a charging station, plus all this nonsense. And if you don't think it's complicated, let's look again at the picture. This is how complicated their setup is. Which would you rather be in charge of building? This Rube Goldberg device or a stationary handle? Because this is, it's a beautiful animation, but it spells disaster. It's not even done. What are we doing here? Oh, it keeps going. It's endless. Oh, it's terrible. Why would you want that? Less pieces, less parts, procedures, processes, all of it. Just crazy. Number 5, separation of vehicle and battery, reducing the barrier to entry by eliminating the need to purchase the battery separately. That looks good in a bullet point. They charge $199 a month for the battery. In the US, your warranty period is minimum 8-year, 100,000 miles. Over 8 years, you're going to spend $20,000, $19,400 on this battery. $19,600. That's not cheaper. Because at the end of the warranty, when your battery was still covered anyway, you don't own the battery. You own a car without a battery. That's worse. That's way worse. That doesn't lower the bar for entry. Sure, my car payment's less, but my total payment is the same or higher. That doesn't make any sense at all. Each swap includes a battery health check, ensuring safer battery usage. So all cars have diagnostics that check battery health all the time. You can check it in the back if you'd like, but it's the same diagnostics. The diagnostics will still be performed in the circuitry of the battery. That's not a thing. That shouldn't be a bullet point unless you don't know how batteries work in an EV. But even then, it's misleading at best. So number 7, optimized charging current extends battery life compared to fast charging methods. Does it? We've seen studies conducted where they looked at the battery health after years and years of fast charging and found the degradation was minimal. If you're going to be using these in any kind of high volume, they're going to be abused a bit. If you're sending them out at 90%, which you are, because they're not going out at 100%. Can't compare it to a gas fill-up, because a gas fill-up, nobody stops at 90%. Either put in a couple bucks or you fill the tank. They're not sending them out at 100 because they know that would degrade the batteries. They'll send them out at 80, 90%. But as a owner, you're going to drive it all the way down. If you're going to make it into the next station with 3%, you're going to do it. Why wouldn't you? I don't feel like stopping. It's not my battery anyway. Users will abuse these batteries, and that's the next battery you're going to get. There are incentives to treating your battery well, and it's because you own it. I don't know if you've ever seen how people treat rental cars, but it's not great. Sometimes they launch plaids into the air. Don't do that. Optimized charging curve. Okay. Batteries can be easily disassembled, facilitating recycling and reuse. You're adding complexity. You're adding weight. You're adding cost. Anything that can be easily put back together and easily taken apart is expensive compared to something that can't. It's got to have a lot more pieces. This isn't going to make recycling any cheaper or easier in any meaningful way. And reuse, car batteries already are used in second applications, whether it's in an antique car or off-grid storage, a variety of things. Grid storage in the case of BMW in Germany at their headquarters. This doesn't help. A swappable battery means you've added complexity, cost, and points of failure. And weight. You've added weight. And I'll be very curious to see how these connections hold up in places where the roads are salted, where in the winter the roads are just caked with ice and mud on the bottom of your car. How good's that swap station going to work when there's all that on the battery? And then it's going to go down into the machine. Now the machine's full of salt water and and mud. That's, I mean, okay. And the last one on here, it's tough to see. Vehicle to grid integration helps with peak shaving, reducing energy wastage and creating social value. Vehicle to grid interaction. Now, they don't mean vehicle to grid because once the batteries are in there, they're not vehicle, but they're vehicle batteries close enough. That could be a semantic issue. Doesn't matter. So what if all these batteries, we've got 20, 30, 40 batteries sitting around. Yeah. So what if we've got $500,000 in batteries sitting at every location, littering the world? It's fine because we can just use it to feed back to the grid. We can be the de facto megapacks, the de facto peaker plants. Great. Most places, most utilities do not have a program for that yet. So you can't. In places where programs like that exist, you need to file paperwork, submit with regulators to be listed as a utility, and then wait years in many cases. And in the US, we don't have a utility authority. Most states don't even have a utility authority. It's a patchwork quilt of utilities. And wherever you are, there are different protectionist rules. That's not going to work. That would be a whole separate business with its own whole separate challenges, and it's not going to work. And these people say, yeah, but it's only $14.55 to swap it out. For now. They are losing money on every swap because they have to make this look like it works so more people will do it so they can hit critical mass. When Tesla rolled out the first superchargers, they sold power at, and in some cases below cost, because that's what they needed to do to get their foot in the market, to get people comfortable driving cars distance. People are comfortable with that. Not everybody, most people. And if you're telling me that somebody, well, I live in an apartment. The overlap between people buying $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 cars and people living in apartments that can't afford to get a charger is minimal. They exist, but they are not the most common. A lot of people in apartments don't have cars. They might live in places, walkable areas, have apartments. The other thing is, a lot of places have free charging. You can go on PlugShare, find all kinds of free chargers. Oh yeah, they're level 2. They're slow chargers. Right, but they're free. That's a better solution than this, because this isn't going to work. And I don't mean to pick on you, Millennium. Millennium is, by his own admission, a NIO investor since IPO. Superfan, owns 28,000 shares. I am not incapable of celebrating NIO's successes, but battery swap is not one of them. NIO did, I believe he posted this one, I saw it somewhere, posted huge numbers for the year. They exceeded expectations. Here it is. Yeah, 47 to 49,000 for the fourth quarter was the guidance, and they beat it. You know, barely, but barely counts. Beating their own guidance. That's great. Now think how many cars they could have sold if they weren't dumping all of those batteries into stations, but putting them in cars. Think how many more cars they could have sold if they weren't adding the weight, the cost, the complexity of a swappable battery system. This number, the 50,000, should be higher. I'm not saying NIO doesn't make a good car. I have not experienced NIO's cars myself. I do not have an opinion on that. I'm sure they're fine. These sales figures are quite good. But the swap idea, especially in new markets, is terrible. It's an idea whose time never came. What did I miss? What did I misunderstand? If you leave a nasty comment about how I just hate NIO, you better have watched this far in the video, because you won't. If you're that deep into it, this video is not for you. This video is for people who are capable of thinking critically and are willing to invest with their eyes wide open. Stay tuned, stay juicy, and I can't wait to hear from you clever robots on the next one.